he kind of walks in and closes the door. Doesn't say anything as he does so. Wearing, of course, his fine wares he put on, of course, avoiding wearing any of the symbols of the house.
Halldamir will see Elenus enter the room and say, glad you could join us. How was your meeting? He smiles.
Well, better than expected, I suppose. Says, still forward as he kind of goes over and pulls out a chair and sits down.
Desum turns away from looking out and looking at him. Crawler's looking as well.
Yes, Uncle. Glad to see you. Glad to see you up again.
He nods. Thank you, nephew. Now, if you would be so kind as to tell me how the meeting with Halen went. In detail. He looks at him.
Lannis frowns slightly, looking out through the same window for a moment. His other hand, a hand just kind of resting, almost playing with like the handle of the sword. Well, it was certainly him, all right. There was no doubt in my mind. Pauses for a moment, trying to consider. Well, where do I start all of this?
From the beginning, I suggest.
I went to go meet him, following the servants along as I did. After I managed to get Nima to stop pestering me to bring her along. And there he was. Undeniably, my brother still with weapon and shield by his side, though not held. Shield is above the ground.
What was the heraldry of the shield, out of curiosity?
He was wearing ours.
Unmodified?
I believe it was unmodified, wasn't it, Malachi?
Yes.
There's some grunts.
Then he offered me a drink and I sat down, though I didn't really drink too much. It was kind of early. And we just started to talk, starting off most notably with the fact that we hadn't seen each other in so long. Apparently we hadn't done more to try visiting him, only sending letters, which he also apparently tried. Gives a slightly suspicious look for a moment, and then drops them.
We knew for years that the letters didn't reach him, and the same with his letters to us. Or those who actually reached us in the beginning were probably not written by him as much as dictated to him by Lord Peake.
Either way, he still seems slightly disappointed that none of us had tried finding him beforehand.
Desum snorts. We didn't know where he was.
And shrugs slightly, looking out. And then forth came one of his pivotal questions. Why now of all times have we gone out to seek him?
And what did you say?
You know what I said, Uncle. You don't need to say it. I told him everything which was the truth in that regard.
Halldamir frowns.
I know schemer like you are. Anyone can read through my lies. And there's no point trying to lie to someone who I want to return. He says that with a unconsciously conflicted smile.
I see. And exactly how did Halin take this?
Better than I expected. Certainly better than I expected. He was not angry, just almost expecting it, I suppose.
And he agreed to our current plan?
Not quite.
Decim's face darkens.
Well, our chat continued. He discussed his various opinions, one of which was about you.
I can imagine.
Apparently a schemer trying to control our house, and Linus just stops there actually for a second, thinking to himself and considering how much of this is actually true.
Well, Lanus knows Decim better than his brother does, so...
It's true, but unfortunately a lot of things he said were actually right. He kind of shakes out of it.
Just slander, don't mind it, all lies. Decim is the nicest person.
No, he's not.
He's not a bad person.
That's what I said.
He's not that bad of a person.
My genuine words were, he's not that bad.
Yeah, there are worse people. All right.
There are many worse people, like Gormy Peak.
Yeah, that fucker.
Of which, we'll get back into character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he also expressed his opinion that he does not believe Gorman Peak is so bad. And while he has apparently had his disputes with him, still does not consider him an enemy.
No, I would imagine that the good Gorman would treat him fairly well in an attempt to sway him to his own ways and away from ours.
He has become quite a devoted knight, it seems. Pious to a degree I had not seen before.
Does some sighs slightly. Oh, great.
Though, all things said, with some of the things that Gorman has done, I just may just drop it, Gormy. That, yes, doesn't like smirk.
Malachi is like, if Decim sort of thinks what is generally House Peak's like religious standing, so to speak, like are they known for being pious or producing pious knights or anything of that nature?
It sounds like a advice. You can use your bonus from your connections.
Because I'm pretty sure that I haven't pictured Gormy as much of a pious person. Let me take a look here. Streetwise, you say? Yes. Let me streetwise.
You have not heard of many pious peak knights. No.
But
not any, in fact.
Well, not something he's picked up from Gormy, at least. That's something.
Most certainly that would match up with what he told me, where he supposedly went off to do something which he is failing to reveal.
Also, one of the main reasons we probably couldn't find him.
Perhaps, yes. He did. Because he supposedly left Peak Lands for whatever he did, and even refused Lord Gormy's summons back for quite some time until he finished whatever he was doing. Though he, as said, he would not tell me more on this subject. I did not sense any deceit from him. Not a single drop. Of course, he might not have been told everything, but still. But perhaps, I hope at least, showing him some of the things that Lord Gorman's done might be able to well, convince them if we would like to try. Well, I'm certainly going to.
That is the question, is it not?
Because if not, the alternative he has planned.
Yes.
Because he believes this is his time to return. It makes sense for him. After all, the vote is coming. It will make sense. So, he soon plans to. And while he asked me if it would be safe to come back, and I believe, well, I do not believe any of you would outright attack him on the spot. What he said he would bring along is what worries me.
And what did he say he would bring along, Lanus?
I do not remember the exact numbers, but looks over and considers his recent warfare training. A unit and a half of cavalry, of peak knights to be precise, to help defend our lands and clear it of all banditry.
At this point, Desmond grips his cane. Struggles for a second to get up, but again, the stomach cramp sort of seizes him, and he sort of sinks down into the chair again, grumbling, and then he slams his cane down into the ground. That is unacceptable. Simply unacceptable. We are already more or less beleaguered by Dornish soldiers. So far they have been contained, but I will not suffer peak forces on our lands.
As said, I am going to try and talk to him and possibly show to him that, well, maybe he is not the best person to rally behind.
If Halen views himself as coming home and reuniting the house, doing so in the front of peak knights will make that dream completely impossible. He must understand this. Arriving at the head of a force that belongs to our arch-enemy.
He believes they don't have to be our arch-enemy. He generally believes that.
Then he is a complete fool.
The boy was taken from us because of a war that the damned idiot started. Gormy, that is.
I plan to bring that up.
Does some grimaces. I should talk to him. He looks out.
I doubt that would be any good. If anything, you'll make situations worse. Not for the fact that you're not good at talking to people, Uncle, but as I said before, he has a dislike for your reputation, at least. Which is not going to make anything easier.
He grumbles. Looks over to Lennis, and you believe you can sway him not to do this foolery?
I believe I can. I'm going to try at least. We've got a few weeks before they would get here, and the young Gorman Peak as well.
The main reason we would want him back is this, so he could back our claim in the election.
Which currently he would back Gormy unless convinced otherwise.
Also unacceptable. We have already fronted a candidate. If we back down and supported Gormy, the ramifications would be dire.
Most notably for you, for putting forward it as well. You are the vocal advocate.
Yes, and grants, I'll be sure to take the black.
I don't think you'll need to go that far, but... just frowns and looks outside. On the bright side, I was half expecting an attack, so that was pleasant.
Horak nods and says, well, perhaps the man has at least some shred of honor.
That I do not doubt.
It is the question is where that honor is pointed that worries me. If he truly believes that Lord Peak is a candidate to support, then I am sad to say Halen is poison to us. If Peak wins this election, we know what he's going to do. He will throw in. Well, first of all, he will dominate us, make us maybe a banner house or something. We don't know. He is a petty man, if nothing else. He will throw in with bitter steel.
I have news in those regards as well.
Yes.
I had a talk around with some of the people, trying to get an idea of the current situation with the... Take a second. Great bastards.
And?
Lord Blackfire. I believe that's his name.
Yes, Damon.
He has married the daughter of the ruler of Tyrosh.
Some frowns.
He has a considerably large army of knights and men at his side, clearing out much of the forces there and gathering quite the large amount of support. The people there calling him the Dragon Come Again.
Then it is indeed very close. With Tyrosh's fleet to move the troops, he could be here much sooner than we anticipated. There's some size.
I thought you'd be interested in such regards.
Thanks. Well, that is interesting.
Other than that, there is the creepiest man I have... Well, maybe not, actually. Looks to death.
Kvala frowns.
A Silverus the Silent, as not so named for how boisterous he was being, but more than apparently the speed of which the sound the enemy managed to make when he attacked them. Not a fighter, but a alchemist who's attended the party. Apparently one of the few individuals to have been taught, though I don't entirely believe that, the secret to making the what is it called that the alchemist guild makes?
They make a lot of stuff.
The green fire.
Dragon fire.
Apparently he's been taught to make that by them recently, as the Alchemist Guild is getting rather frustrated with the king for directing money away from them and towards the small folk and farms. Apparently saying such things are not needed in a time of peace.
Yes, that has been the melody. Time of peace. Well, my invasion fleet is approaching. He sighs again. Looking out, that is interesting. Maybe that alchemist could be of use to us, if he could be persuaded to work for us.
I somehow doubt that, but you can try if you would like.
His fee is most likely
Exorbitant.
very high.
Other than that, almost everyone here is looking for a meeting either with someone else at the party, or most notably with the lady of the house, it seems.
Yes, I heard some about her.
Quite the beautiful woman. I'm sure Alaric's already told you about the fact he rates them.
5!
Thank you, Corva.
Alaric actually smiles at that. His frown lessening because of it.
Quite the interesting woman to say for sure. Can she be trusted? I can't say. But an interesting woman nonetheless.
You remember what she is trained to do. She is trained to seduce and be pleasant, and then stab you in the back.
Well, no stabbing has occurred, so that's something.
Does some grimaces, clutches his stomach.
I said we have 2 weeks, it should be, before the contingency arrives. Unfortunately, they happen to have ravens with them, I believe, so that's not going to be an issue. I'm going to need some
2
rest.
weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
We need to leave fairly soon then to be home before they arrive.
It'll be 2 weeks before they reach here, most notably, not our place.
We cannot be here when they arrive.
Yes, I'm just specifying. Now, I need to lay down. So, Alaric, don't lose Mantha again.
Crawler hops forward and friendly sort of pinches Linus's arm. And then sort of hops back.
Pet Qualler slightly.
Yeah.
Getting up.
Makes a weird clicking sound.
Linus will get up. Give a nod of the head to all of you, and we'll go to rest for a while. Go lay down.
While this goes on, Bagged respite.
Meanwhile,
Bree is in the maester's room, really.
Oh, Bree.
She's the person who's been there the most, I think.
She has been.
I spent a decent amount of time.
She already has enough scars that it doesn't make much of a difference if she gets a few more. You can hear the training going on outside.
Clearly haven't been leeched enough if I can still hear that.
It is certainly one of the few times where sort of her being awake is possible. You can look out to the little window. It's very dark in the room. Not a lot of things going on. Perhaps the maester is taking care of Lord Aaron, therefore maybe neglecting her milk of the puppy a little bit as to her sleep.
That and perhaps she lost so much blood from last session that maybe he didn't want to take too much more.
Mm-hmm. She is generally though kept pretty under. She doesn't really know if he leeches her, potentially not, but most of the time he just puts her to sleep. And
that's great. She has zero complaints. He should have tried this shit with her a long time ago.
He sleeps. One of these, she doesn't really know how long it's been, but it's raining outside. She can't really hear the fighting. Slight bit of sun is coming in. Might be early morning, perhaps. She can feel the fire in her throat, as she hasn't really been able to drink much lately. The water droplets are running on the window. She looks out. Strange figures beginning to form on the glass. Sort of a half illusion as boredom and fever begins to sort of mix together in a strange dream as she falls back to sleep again. In her, when she wakes up after having been basically a lot of dreamless sleep, she remembers a dream that has happened a few times, at least. And it is that dream of looking out at the window where rain runs down and seeing the rain form faces of all sorts of people, high, low, ugly, pretty, young, old. Then those faces sort of just shatter into droplets of rain and run down the window, only for another one to form and look at her with deep sunken eyes, all looking sort of starved, as they just split into water again and run down. How much is it actually rained, though? She's not really sure. This will take a entire week. The maester being here. Often enough, she will wake up just long enough to see him standing over her, smiling. As she can feel her eyes.
It's like he's got the schedule thing again.
Yes.
He knows. It's like he's good at this.
Looking down with a raised eyebrow, a slight smile, maybe of sympathy, maybe of hidden glee. Who knows? As he just puts her back to sleep, wetting her lips with a little bit of a sort of a piece of cloth to keep her hydrated. Certainly takes quite long. Until the point where, well, he isn't here. And she can feel her head sort of growing clearer, and her body doesn't hurt as much, suggesting that perhaps she has healed. She looks, it does seem like the worst is taken off. There's still bandages and such, but she can walk, and she doesn't feel like it will hamper her any further.
Bree, with a low moan and then hissing, will shift in bed, having not moved much at all for an entire week. Bed sores and stuff like that. Look down at her side to see the still bandaged up location. She's been wounded a few times over the past year.
Safe to say.
Yeah, this is a familiar experience for her. Although, reflecting back on it, this was the strangest experience, from staring at eyes for an indeterminate amount of time, and then she looks nervously over to the window. Is it raining now?
No, it's sunny. The distant clatter of spears and cries of pain sometimes.
Bree furrows her brow intently at the window, as if expecting, like, the rain to suddenly just pop out and say, "Aha! I was hiding."
Mm-hmm.
Then she'll get out of bed and go to the windows slowly, favoring her side, where the shadow cat clawed into her, and look out the window.
She can see the sort of roof of the blacksmith and sort of out over the Caladan lands from it. She stands on her tiptoes. Maybe she can see the well.
And she nods in affirmation, that self-delusion of, like, grandeur growing in her mind about how awesome she is, because kids are pretty stupid, and she'll look around and think maybe she's getting away with something here. Maybe that maester that she dislikes, maybe he mistimed something. She feels well enough. Maybe she can go. She'll like tippy toe like her way to the door.
Looks around. Her eye catches a piece of paper laying on the maester's desk, sort of unopened. It seems to be a letter, perhaps, that has been sent and simply hasn't been opened. Upon it, it has, strangely enough, seemingly 2 wax seals. One to close it, and one that's just sort of put on the side a little bit. One is in white wax and appears to be a dragon. One is in red wax and appears to be a 3-headed dragon.
Sealed, huh? Well,
Currently, it seems.
Bree knows how much the maester doesn't like to deal with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Bree's gonna, like, talk her, like, convince herself in her head. So, the maester's so busy, probably won't notice. It's clearly been unopened. Is there any more like unopened letters? Cursory glance at the desk.
Doesn't seem so. Maybe this one was special in some way. Maybe the maester didn't have time. Who knows?
Then he clearly intended it for Bree. Bree is going to take it, and she's going to keep tiptoeing out to the door.
Mm-hmm.
Peek her head down the hallway.
The faint splashing of water. Perhaps Aaron is being bathed.
Yes!
It is a process that can take a little bit of time, especially if the Lord is agitated.
Bree does, like, the Westerosi child equivalent of a fish pump, and she, like, closes the door.
With the winter cool stone keep.
Yes. To head for her room, where excitedly, the moment she like rushes into there, she'll take the letter, she'll lift it up, and we'll play everyone's favorite game. What's in the letter? What's in the letter?
Not burn it without reading it.
That's right. She will rip the seals.
All right, sure. The thick wax sort of splits, and she has indeed a letter written in a very fine handwriting. It says, "Lords of House Caladan, as of writing this letter, it is decreed, with the authority of my father, Daeron Targaryen II, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm, that House Caladan shall field 200 battle-ready engineers at winter's end. It is the royal desire that these forces shall present themselves upon the fields of Summer Hall at first sight of spring. Should these forces be present before such a time, I, Prince Maegor Targaryen, shall personally grant you and yours a favor of your choosing, insofar as my skill, authority, and honor allows. Prince Maegor Targaryen."
Bree blinks with child-eye wonder at the letter. And then she edges towards the window and looks back out at the courtyard.
There's a gentle wind blowing, carrying the leaves of the forest out over the keep and blowing them far and wide.
Bree bites her lip. Oh, looks back down at the letter and says aloud to herself, I don't know how to train any of those. Looks back out the window. I was wounded. They've been gone for over a half moon. Maybe Uncle will be back?
How long did you say, sorry?
She looks down at the letter again, and then she tries to think, and she asks the letter, how long is winter? Looks back out the window. How long is a winter? Probably can't ask the maester. And then she does the childlike thing of putting the letter in with the rest of her belongings, with all of the gold dragons and stuff. Yeah, because as a child she might eventually forget the letter and it becoming important, and she's gonna treat it like not her problem right now. Because she is free.
Where does Bree have her secret child stash?
It's not
of things like a little bit of milk of the poppy and a dagger and some dried meat in case she's put to bed without food.
I would like to say it's in a clever place, everything, and perhaps some of it is. For the most part, she does keep most of her belongings in her room, but she might have had things taken away from her before campaign start, because she's wanted things that because of course she did as a kid, and so all over the keep there might be a little leather pouch hidden beneath a stairwell, or hidden in a barrel with food that she knows that Lucas is never gonna go into, and she'll or in the bale of hay, stuff like that. Just some of her 74 gold dragons sprinkled here and there, emergency money,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how many gold dragons she has currently, by the way, everyone.
She's pretty loaded.
Yes, and that's after spending 71 gold dragons and 130 silver stags during downtime.
There certainly has been spent a lot of money recently at
yes.
Spite.
Yes, but basically it's probably going to go the equivalent of under her bed with her clothes and stuff. I'm oh well.
Right.
She can't, she doesn't know how to train engineers. She doesn't know the first thing about running a siege weapon. The engineer unit is gone. Maybe she can try and chase down some of them. Maybe there's a few of them still in the castle town, but He's not even 12. Bree is finally free from the tyranny of someone whom she dislikes. And Bree is content to... Well, she does have quite a bit of energy and freneticism and excitement, but she's also changing now. That being said, maybe she will go downstairs just to take a peek at the courtyard. A good look before returning to her room.
Sure. You will see the many. There's just a few depicted here, but the many sort of
Yes.
100 women
Mhm.
fighting with their spears. Some with spears, and others just doing sort of unarmed fighting stances and trying to stop people who run at them and swing them over their side and such. Trying to learn to defend themselves. They're doing okay, but I mean, it's clear that they don't really have the muscle mass built up to really be effective with it at this point.
Bree, in her mind, she thinks to herself, boy, I'm really glad I helped Rosette out with this, because at least this is already going to be bad enough when the rest of the family gets back home.
At the gate, she sees the Dornish spearman standing up at the tower. She sees Rosette standing with her hands behind her back, slightly behind her. The Dornish commander standing there with his sort of ironwood banner, looking out over the lands.
She nods to herself as she thinks, boy, I'm glad I told all of the all the normal soldiers to take a break and go to the taverns and whatever with money, because yeah. She looks out at the courtyard again, and she like laughs a little nervously and rubs the back of her head as she's thinking about what's going to happen when the family gets home and Agatha spills everything. Oh boy. Bree figures maybe she'll go at least wave to Rosette